Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another episode of the Homegrown Podcast. I am Struggle Vision Pineapples, and I'm here with
Crescent Novaspec.
And today we've got two guests once again. On one side of the corner, we've got GOL Boy Toy, now Crescent Boy Toy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And DylanisKillin. I believe what role is Dylan?
Dylan is one of the managers of Crescent eSports, so it is Crescent DylanisKillin.
Yeah, it's Crescent DylanisKillin?
Yes.
Okay, both of you, go ahead and say hi.
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing today?
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Yo, thank you for having me, fam. And by the way, it's just Toy. We dropping
Just
the
Toy?
Boy. It's just like,
When'd you drop Boy?
a hot minute
Yeah, a
ago,
long
fam,
time
you
ago.
know? Once I hit like plus
He
27.
evolved.
It's like, when Lil Bow Wow dropped the Lil, he was just Bow Wow because he was a man. You know what I'm saying? It's just Toy.
He's not a boy anymore.
Exactly.
He's a man.
Exactly.
Man,
Yeah.
man toy.
All right, well,
he's a man toy.
We got Man Toy and DylanisKillin.
What's up, y'all?
All right. And we wanted to bring them on because both of them, along with Crescent Novaspec, are actively in I want to say a pretty nice foundational esports org, like compared to like smaller teams like what Struggle Vision is, where it's not necessarily anything super structured. It's just guys with a shared goal. Crescent actually has resources in the pot and has done things for their players, their managers, and their organization in general. So I'm super excited to have you guys on to show us the more professional side as opposed to the grassroots end of the FGC.
We interviewed HBHR Jelly and GOL Guy in Green to get a more local sense of where tournaments started out in the smaller scenes. Local tournaments, just like getting together at like bars and card shops, whatever. Just the little small communities. But we want to see from you guys' perspective. Toy, from who came as a local player and grew up into the FGC esports scene, and Dylan, you kind of had like a sort of like reverse role of Toy. You were into much bigger esports before you came to the FGC side of esports. So we wanted to get both of you guys' perspectives on the whole esports side of the FGC. But let's go ahead and get introductions done.
Yeah, so starting with Toy, you tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been in the FGC, and how long you've been with Crescent.
Word, man. So, yeah, I've been in the FGC for about 10 or 9 years, for a hot minute. And I started kind of how you guys were mentioning about like the little local events at the bars, at the play-in trades and whatnot. It's really where I started at a play-in trade, and started with me playing a worker there, really. And then it just evolved from there. He was like, yeah, man, you're pretty good, but we have this other player that's better. And then I would go to that player, then I get close to winning, but then it'd be like, yeah, you're okay, but there's someone better than me. And then eventually that's how I ended up meeting the entire scene, and eventually like Axel and
The Mortal Kombat Tower of Power.
pretty much. That's a pretty goddamn good analogy there. But yeah, that's how I got my start without getting into too much detail for now. But also to answer the other question, been in Crescent for Dylan, 6 months now? Or we made the announcement in February.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, in February. So I haven't been in for too long. It's a pandemic. It's been throughout the pandemic, so I haven't gone anywhere yet. But
So you chose a godlike time to get sponsored, huh?
right. But yeah, I haven't been on the team for long. But once everything starts back up again, then we'll get stuff rolling again. You know what I'm saying?
I know previously you were in Will to Win, was it?
Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah, was that a hard transfer? Because I know that was the sponsor you had when you did things like E-League and your Capcom representative stuff.
No, that was GGEA. That's when I
That was GGEA.
Yeah, for E-League and what else?
That's the Texas hosted one, right? Dr. African and all them?
Yeah. That was
GG
like
eSports?
yeah, GGEA. That's when I had the thing for E-League, and I think that I was on SFL while I was in GGEA still. Don't quote me on that. I have to think.
Yeah, maybe SFL is what I'm thinking you were Will to Win. Because I know you were across 3 sponsors across 3 different events.
Yeah. But Will to Win was dope though. Like, they were cool people. What exactly did you want to know about it though?
I mean, we can get to that later.
Where?
Yeah, I was just putting your accolades out there, man. I'm wingmanning.
Nah.
Give me the Tinder bio. Just give me the basics right now before we get into a real conversation.
Nah, I got you.
All right. So now we're gonna swipe right over to Dylan. Dylan, go ahead. A little bit about yourself. You know, your background, FGC. I know you came from Gears and COD from the conversations we've had previously. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about that and your investment in esports before you came over to be esports manager for Crescent.
So I think I've roughly been in esports for at least between 10 and 12 years. I didn't really like actively involved in the FGC until I think like late 2015. But the original games that I was involved in was Call of Duty, Gears of War, Halo, and I started like I think it was 2016 is when early 2016 I transitioned into like the professional esports like business side of things. So the first organization I got a deal with was Panda Gaming. From Panda Gaming, I went to Gosu Crew, which we had one of the best World of Warcraft teams in NA and some top Korean StarCraft 2 players. From Gosu Crew, I went into EXG, which is Accelerate. They had a top Call of Duty World League team at the time, and what else? A Rainbow Six Pro League team. But
Wait, no way. What season?
This was last year. So like, well.
Oh wow, this was the big season. Cause I know the world circuit for that. Cause I've been recently keeping up with Siege now. I know the circuit blew up.
Some of the guys we had previously came from like Cloud9 and stuff, and so way before that, even like when I was actively involved in Gosu Crew and EXG, I was one of the original people who helped start up Crescent in January. I think we did our like first actual launch and like really started pushing it in January 2018. And I pretty much my side of it was finding the players, the talent, handling all that, going to events with them, etc. So I mostly built most of the team, I guess you could say, for like competitor wise. And I like going into it, I had like an overall mindset of who everybody I wanted and whatnot. And
So you were like a scout?
Essentially. I mean, I've done that for a couple different orgs, but also like everything for them goes through me, and I pick them up and I take the managing role and taking care of them and progressing them. And
okay. Would you say it's a difficult skill set to? Because I know like scouts for like, let's say like baseball teams, whatever. Well, they'll go through like extensive research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of their potentials. Does your job involve that? Like, do you go through like tournament records, VODs, social medias?
Yeah. No, I have like a thing. It's social media is a big part of it. Looking into their social medias, what they have to offer, how they hold themselves, etc. And then VODs, like tournament placings and stuff like that, like results, because that plays into like your resume. And then going and just like learning them as a player and seeing the way they play to make the right decision on, does this person fit your brand and do you see the potential in this person?
Okay. It's pretty interesting. I've never actually gotten to like speak with, because I know I've talked about my experience with like esports in past podcasts, but most of my stuff has been like almost front end media, so like mostly commentating, a couple back running, but I've never actually gotten to sit down and talk about the organization of an org, so to speak. So that's a really interesting take. So look at my friend Axel here. I know he got picked up, I want to say 2017, 2018.
Yeah, that was 2017. That was no, that was 2018. That was 2018.
Oh, I'm tripping. It was 2017 then. Yeah, we must have launched in January 2017. Wow, I forgot. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
No, you're right. It was 2017. I'm completely blanking. Like
trick
that
question.
was.
I did my research on all y'all.
It honestly doesn't feel like it's been that long already.
Yeah, it's been that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, it has. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, man. COVID's like fucking up everybody's timelines, but
Yeah,
it is.
I distinctly remember when it was so exciting. It was like, yo, they signed a Fang player, and Axel comes in with the button special.
Yeah, I think Axel was the second Louisiana player we signed with, because originally our first player, like when we first launched, we only had one player, and it was Urban Flow. So he wasn't even a Louisiana player. He's from Colorado. So Axel was the second Louisiana player we picked up along with Doza.
That was like whenever Crescent was like very, very like at the very beginning stages. Whenever whenever everybody was just still trying to get a foothold into what they were doing. Essentially, I had essentially found out about Crescent through I think it was Pandy Pops or y'all had some streamer interviewing Lumen and Mizey about like Crescent starting up and everything, like a little Q&A type podcast style, and that's how I found out about Crescent. And I was like, this was around the time I was looking around at different esports organizations, and one thing that separated Crescent from all the other ones, other than like the main thing, was that it was local and Louisiana based, and I'm all about supporting my original scene of growth. But Crescent offered me a lot more and seemed like a lot more stable, like something that can like go into the future, like long-term planning ahead. And every other org that was interested in me or like that I had talks with was just like, oh, we'll give you a jersey. Oh, you can put our tag in your name or something like that. Just very like low bar stuff. And I'm like, that's not really what I'm looking for, but I'll catch y'all later. But yeah, that was like 3 years ago. Y'all took a chance on me, and I appreciate like all the growth, all the growth and everything that we've done so far. And my growth as a player wouldn't have came, like, especially this day and age, if it wasn't for y'all. GOL got me to where I was, and Crescent's continuing to help me grow.
Hell yeah.
That's touching.
GOL.
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 Hell yeah.
All right. So one thing I wanted to kind of swing this over to, since I got to speak with Dylan about the scouting now, is that I know since I remember the transition to Crescent from Will to Win was kind of low key for a while. Like, and I think I found out a little bit sooner than most people did, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. It was very under radar. What can you tell us about it being someone who was signed into multiple teams and addressing the fact that, like Axel's experience, especially in the early birth of esports, a lot of orgs can kind of get away with lowballing their players and just kind of giving them the bare minimum for the ability to have that like pseudo exposure while they see if someone's actually going to be worth the value. Mm-hmm. What goes into moving between team to team? What kind of things do you think about when transitioning, like when you move from GGEA to Will to Win, and when you move from Will to Win to Crescent?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, it's really all about your current financial situation as well as how much you value your own worth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be leaving a team that it's paying for what entry fees, and you know you're not really putting yourself out there, or you're not performing, so to speak, or you don't have your social media together. You can't leave a team like that and expect to go to a team that's going to give you paid hotel and paid traveling fees and whatnot. So what goes into that is just making sure that you're going to the right org that'll take care of you. Which also, man, there's so many interviews that I've had with these teams. You can only find out if they're a good team or not by interviewing them and asking the other players, that are in the org if they're cool or not. Man, you'd really be surprised.
It's like job scouting, right?
100%. It's 100% like job scouting. And I did the exact same thing with Will to Win. I went on about 4 interviews with these dudes, bro. I'm like, yo, it's really like a job. And within that period of time, you also want to gain the opinion of somebody that's in esports on the legal side of things, to be like,
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, this is the contract that they're giving me. Are they screwing me over? Can I get something better? There's a lot of people that.
Who'd you talk to for that? Did you get a lawyer? I know Ultra David constantly tells people, hey, look, before you sign a contract, DM me, I will help you.
Right.
And it's cool to get that kind of like pro bono work from someone who is actively engaged in the back end of FGC esports. So for you, who was that? Or did you just learn over time the things you should be looking for, and what scales you use to weigh yourself as an asset so you knew what your value was?
I guess I got to give him the credit, man. It started with Doc, because,
Dr. African?
Yeah, because he got me into the GGEA thing. That was the first, I don't want to call it, screw it. Yeah, they were the first
They were the first eSports. Don't.
No.
GOL is grassroots.
TFA.
No, I've had other teams
TFA?
before that.
You were on
I had
TFA?
other
Oh,
teams
TFA?
before that. Yeah, I had TFA.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
My
it was on TFA,
apologies.
yeah.
I was an Epic. You know what I'm saying? For whatever that was, but they paid for stuff as well. I've had other teams.
I mean, that's a team. I feel like Epic's a team. I feel like that counts.
Yeah, for sure. But GGEA was, I would say, my first top shelf team. That was willing to pay for travel and even salary, which is mad hard to get. Even I'm not going to get too much into that, but
They
that
even
was
did the
on
housing
table.
thing, didn't they?
Yeah,
Didn't you move
that
into the
was-
GGEA housing?
Yeah, that was godlike. That was
Yeah.
godlike. But yeah, it was Doc because this all, like the whole GGEA thing, he got involved somehow from, I forgot the guy's name or whatnot, but he got into the political side of things and he handled that part of it. Because I know y'all remember for a while it kind of seemed like he wasn't being a competitor anymore, so he was dealing with that or trying to do training and whatnot.
No, yeah, I got to speak with him a lot when he was doing that.
Yeah.
And so I like, once again, people be acting like I don't know what's going on just because I don't show up to all the casuals, but I be talking to everybody.
I know, Ian. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whenever I would, it would, in the beginning, like while I was on the team, he would be like, "Yo, you need to do this or that, so that people can, start looking at you and whatnot." Like there was a time where I hated Twitter. I still hate Twitter. I still hate dealing with it. I watch it now for the LOLs and because I have to, but I hate having or feeling obligated to tweet. And I mean, as a player, you have to tweet, man. It just comes with it. The only person that gets away with that crap is people like Item. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because it's Item. But anyway, that there was a point where I had only maybe 100 followers and whatnot, and he's like, if you want to take your crap to the next level, you have to do this, you have to do that, and I guarantee you by like 8 months, you should have over 1,000 followers. And that sucker was right. Like I had over 1,000 followers within 8 months. So whenever, like, fast forward to get back to the original question, I would just forward whatever org would put on the table to him. I would tell the org, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna sign this right now. Of course, they're always gonna say, the good orgs would say, hey, take your time, blah blah blah.
Right.
There's
No
definitely
pressure.
there's definitely been a lot of orgs. You'd be freaking surprised that'd be like, you know what, man? If you don't sign this now, man, I don't know if we're gonna be able to hold that. Yeah, ditch them ASAP.
I guess you don't really care about this esports title and everything.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's predatory.
Yeah, right.
You'll find that across any game though.
Oh, you're saying that crap is with FPS
Oh,
and
absolutely.
League and shit like that.
Absolutely. League of Legends had a very because I'm getting back into that because I hate my life. And and there's a huge case going on right now for I believe it's either Chinese or it's an Eastern region org with a lot of predatory scalping and player trading issues and just really, really dangerous contracting verbiage.
Ooh.
And you'll find that across a lot of mediums. What sucks is that it's because professional gaming is still such a newborn child.
Yeah.
Right? And the people that come into this are also, for better or worse, young people, children with bright eyes and just excitement for the future. And these companies know how to monetize that. They know how to manipulate people to get what they want. And you'll find this in music as well. So I'm really happy that you managed to avoid a lot of that because you've done something that a lot of people haven't been able to do, which is circumvent those very predatory contract practices.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, I'll still definitely give a lot of credit to Doc. And once he was able to kind of give me feedback on a few offers, it kind of just stuck with me. And then I'd have my own interviews. And honestly, I believe I even gave him the contract for, or I kind of inquired about it or spoke with him about it. Let me be careful here about what I should accept for recent teams, I should say. So I still, go to him for advice with the matter.
Okay.
Because he used to work with like teams like Optic and what's another one, Dylan? What was the? You had the name of the team before, the one that's over all of the stuff in that building that we were Infinite.
So Infinite, and that was during the stage where Infinite actually bought Optic and Allegiance, and then they basically made like an umbrella. So it was Optic, Allegiance, and then they formed GGEA.
Right. Like a parent corp or something?
Infinite? No, they were just buying organizations essentially, and they were all under the
okay.
Infinite name.
So like a conglomerate almost.
Yeah.
Okay. So, final question for you, Toy, because there is a line that this has brought up that I want to talk with Dylan about. I'm really excited about that. But I know how you said that part of the difficulty of signing the contract was understanding the balance between how you value yourself and the value you perceive you can get from organizations. How did you decide how to value yourself? How did that shift across the years, and what checkpoints were you looking for in which that value increased that you decided, okay, maybe I can stick a little bit harder here, or I can push for a little bit more on this end?
Honestly, it started whenever I would say whenever I beat Punk at DreamHack. That's when I was like, I feel like my value. That's where I kind of really gauged my value. Before that, I was just looking for just a way to get my foot through the door. I was willing to accept, anything. Give me a tournament fee,
entry level,
or exactly, because a lot of people don't know this, but even though I was sponsored by these teams, I've always had a 9-to-5. I've always had a job. So it's just it was kind of weighing on what I could combine in with my job in order to just get to a tournament. But after I started beating players like Punk, then I said, okay, I shouldn't be looking for anything that's just the bare minimum anymore. I deserve something more than that. And then once again, I hate to keep bringing the guy's name up, but like that, it all stems from Doc being in my ear and being like, this is what such and such player gets from this game, or such and such player gets, and here are your records. And he's like, statistically, you should be getting this along with this because of your results and whatnot. But of course, you also have to factor in the whole social media and things like that, and which didn't come till later. I think social media in itself, if you have over, what would you say, Dylan, like 2,000 followers or 1,500, that you would gauge yourself as somebody that would get free travel or free hotel. Would you say that much, Dylan?
It also comes down to the ratio as well, though. Like, obviously, if you're rocking like 1,400 to 1,500, like following to follower, then it looks like follow for follow shit. But when when you have a gap like you do, it shows that most of your interests and interactions are from other people wanting to follow you, not just you going like, oh, I'm going to go hit this follow because they're going to follow me back and build my numbers off of that.
Right.
Interesting. I never thought about that. That's something I generally, because I've seen people with like the 1 follower to X ratio, but I always thought just because they keep that line clean and they have like a backup Twitter or something. But I appreciate that. Thank you. So Dylan, my man.
What up?
Now that we've seen the player aspect, I want to start with the transition from FPS to FGC. Because I've got a lot of tinfoil hat conspiracies about why esports. Because like I've been in StarCraft, I've been in League, I've been in Overwatch. I've touched my hands in a lot of esports pots, and FGC has some growing pains that I've seen before, but that they're struggling to hurdle over a lot more than other avenues.
Are you talking about the game itself, or like for organizational standpoint?
Not necessarily. No, from both.
Organizational
honestly.
standpoint, the answer is extremely easy. It's extremely hard to make an ROI off of FGC.
Yeah. I mean, that was my assessment. That was my assessment. But my question comes down more to why.
Why is it?
And I want to start with why. Yeah. And I want to start with the successes that you found more so in the FPS esports, which honestly I could mark as the poster child for how to create a self-sufficient esports scene. Outside of Riot Games, which is a money castle in California that they store their money in, FPS, generally speaking, has very good return on investments, good sponsorship numbers, great advertisement revenue, and you see consistent circuits like the Global Offensive Circuit, the Siege Circuit, and the Call of Duty consistently holding their own. And I wanted to know what you saw in there that when you came over to FGC, you noticed immediately was going to be a challenge, if that question makes sense.
So I had already been experienced in the business side of esports, and what makes money and what doesn't. But by the time I found that out, I had already been well involved enough in all the different scenes. But to give you like some examples on how different ones operate, so a lot of teams you'll see pick up World of Warcraft teams. Now, World of Warcraft, do not get it twisted. It's absolutely a big game. But what you'll notice is come around a couple months before November every year, leading up to BlizzCon, that's when majority of the bigger orgs decide to grab a team, so they have that BlizzCon main stage presence. But the thing with that is, it's easy for orgs to make an ROI off of them, because all you have to do is give WoW players a salary. Because as a WoW player, Blizzard pays for everything. The org does not pay for the travel. The org does not pay for the lodging. The org does not pay for the registration. So, like, all you're doing is paying them a salary, depending on, their level of play to begin with, and you're automatically getting that BlizzCon main stage presence, which is a big deal on its own. Not to mention if your team wins and you get, said percent of the winnings. Then with Call of Duty, so last year before, for Black Ops 4, before the Call of Duty League franchise and took the Overwatch League route, they changed it up a little bit last year too, so it's kind of constantly been changing. But so you actually had to qualify for the CWL. Now, granted, it was still an open bracket tournament. Basically, being a qualified team for the Call of Duty World League guaranteed you that you were already out of pool play, essentially. But amateur teams still could come out of pool play and make main stage, and that's what gave amateur teams that chance to be breakout players. It helped organizations grow, or it helped put some of these players who are on a nobody team onto your FaZe Clan, your Optic Gaming, etc. But for the Call of Duty League specifically, on top of the open events, there was also the actual league matches where only the teams that were qualified for the league would play. So we had an EXG, we had a Call of Duty World League team. So on top of, the return we were getting off of their names, their branding, and all that, every match they won from, the actual developer, you get a siphon from that. Like, the organization would get a siphon for the matches won. So it's just, there's all those games have constant ways of ROI. I think one of the main FPSs that I feel like is a hard thing to get an ROI from is Gears of War specifically.
Is it because it's so niche?
A big part of it is that, yes.
Because I love
No,
Gears
it's
of
great.
War, but it's a fantastic game. Like, and the new one's pretty fun too. But it's really hard to look someone in the eye and say, "Oh yeah, this is a really thriving competitive scene."
But for FGC, the thing is to really start seeing an ROI off of that. A couple things that, in my opinion, that play a huge part in that is, do you have players that are getting stage representation, doing really well, getting your name and logo seen a lot? And then that's where the social media side comes into it. Are these players marketable? If is their name going to make a sponsor see them play, go look at them and see that they have a lot of social media potential, and be like, okay, we're going to go sponsor said org because these players are going to help us sell products.
So things like Aces
Yes.
commercials, Hori commercials.
Not even just that. It goes down the route of, say you have a sponsor. All right, so let's use Secret Labs, for example.
Okay.
You're sponsored by
Sure.
Secret Labs. Your players have a heavy social media presence, and they kind of have that thing to where, like, people are fans of them. They want what they use. They trust the products they use. So they have that heavy, like, trying to think of the word, like, completely slipped me. Influence, yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, I use Secret Labs chairs. I really like them. Y'all should check them out too. On top of that, hey, use this code because you also save money from doing so. So that's where that's part of the play where you'll see the ROI come in from that. So this is where social media does play a big part in it, but it's also for the fact of, are they out there getting the results and getting the attention and the eyes put on them and said organization. But when you have big names like in my personal opinion, in North America, I feel like there's only a true handful of players that an org can definitely see an ROI from. Of course, a couple of them would be NuckleDo, Idom, Punk, Justin Wong. Those players, like, they hold enough value to them to where they're going to benefit you no matter what.
Right. Do you think a part of it would be, because, like, one thing I've noticed a lot more about, like, I'm going to draw back in League of Legends, especially with foreign players, is that Eastern regions for, like, Gosu League, for StarCraft, and for what is it? I think it's the LEC. No, for the whatever the Korean league is. Those players will get advertisements and stuff like that because obviously the infrastructure around esports is taken a lot more serious in those regions. Do you think maybe that is part of the problem as to why it's so hard to find an ROI in FGC, which is, if we're gonna be honest, dominantly West and East, with a lot of the events held over in the West?
So,
Would
what were you saying?
Oh no! You continue. I'm sorry.
I feel like FGC is easily the most like least evolved esport, definitely in North America. It still has that heavy grassroots feel to it, and honestly, like so to kind of put like my own opinion out there, it sounds weird, but like I don't really like esports. I love what it is, but I don't like what esports has necessarily done to games. Um, it's changed a lot of people's mindsets, and I feel like you can see with a lot of like in some games or like even some like groups of players, you see like it took the integrity away from it, and I feel like this is something Mike Ross has talked about a lot. You know, people went from playing for pride and for the love of the game to playing for a jersey and money. Like the priorities and the reasons why you're doing this has completely changed. But FGC still does have a good bit of that grassroots feel, and part of me thinks that you're not going to see it go full blown esports and be more until that like as long as that grassroots feel is still there. I feel like that's going to hold it back from like being full blown.
Yeah, it's funny that the thing that holds it from really succeeding, I think, is also part of why
why fighting games
maintains.
are so great, because that's how Louisiana's scene was originally back in the day. Like even Toy can attest to it back in the Street Fighter 4 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 era, before sponsorships were even a thing. We kind of touched back on this in the previous episode. You people were literally playing just as friends to have fun, to grow as a community and a little scene. Whenever it wasn't Panda versus Echo Fox or TSM or whatever team, it was South Coast, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
This state versus this state. That's what FGC was back in the day. So whenever you traveled out to tournaments, oh, you're from Louisiana, not oh, you're from Echo Fox or from this team or whatever. It's your notoriety came with your scene that you were involved with. So as much as I don't like the grassroots versus esports mentality, I kind of understand, but like that's something that the FGC I don't think is ever gonna really grow out of, because you have the old head players who are still so stricken to the grassroots feel, and then you have the new head players who are kind of too tunnel visioned on getting that end goal of a sponsorship or that esports.
Because FGC is easy entry.
It's just, are you willing to spend the initial money to get out?
What's funny too is that part of what makes the FGC so open door, I think, actively inhibits its ability to go esports, in the fact that unlike first person shooters where you have like Siege for team strategy, Counter-Strike for Twitch, Call of Duty, I guess would be more like TAC Ops, kind of TDM. But FGC has so many games that are subgenres, and then each one of those games have subgenres of subgenres, that there's just too many pools to really properly monetize on a global scale like that, you know? Because like when you sign on a player like, say, Doza, you know, you're signing him on as an anime player. But that means you can't expect Doza to cover 2D fundamental or 2D original like Street Fighter. You can't cover 3D like Tekken per se, because it's hard to multi-game, let's be honest. So that means that now you have to cover someone to cover those aspects. You need a 3D player. You need a Street Fighter player. You need a platform player. You need an arena fighter player, you know? And like by the time you get all these bases covered, you've already sunk so much in. And there can only be one winner from these events. So now you need to get someone who's going to like do well enough to make it up there for the exposure you were talking about. And so having to cover all these holes in the boat just to make it float is really going to inhibit your ability to have a smooth sailing ship.
Yes, sir.
You know?
So
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. I just like lost track of thought because of that.
Yeah, he killed me with that.
Oh man.
Oh.
But yeah, like you said, it's so wide range, and like so, like when I picked up Toy and even like Carlos and Rob TV, I know that they're Street Fighter players. But like you said, I have Shinku and Doza. I might send them to an event, and they might enter. Doza might just enter Dragon Ball, and Shinku might just enter, cross tag. Or I send them to an event, and Doza is playing Grand Blue, Dragon Ball, Guilty Gear, cross tag, and so is Shinku. Like you never know, but they all naturally take to those games. It's not like you were saying earlier. It's not easy. Like you're not going to be a Street Fighter and playing and be like, you know what, I'm going to go do great in Tekken this weekend too. It's not that. It's not the same. It's not the same. So, but at the same time, I mean, like your games that are games like Grand Blue. Like I'm not talking about the anime the anime subgenre, but games like Grand Blue and stuff like that, and even Dragon Ball, it comes and it goes. At the end of the day, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, those games are going to remain pillars throughout the times. That's never going to change. It's never going to be like, Mortal Kombat's going now. We might have this other NRS kind of game that's kind of like Mortal Kombat now. Like those are always going to be there. So like those are solid overall like building blocks to begin with.
Yeah, but ironically enough, it's the fact that those are pillar statutes of the FGC that actually kind of hurt the smaller games. Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite pretty much lost all support from Capcom as soon as they realized that it was a failed esports.
That sucks because I was loving it.
Yeah, the gameplay was fine. It's just the shell was bad, and like I've got someone who I've talked to a little bit on the know, right? And like there's supposed to be something coming down the pipeline for that because they left so many assets on the cutting room floor
With that game?
because they just
Like it.
What?
Like, is there a new Marvel coming out? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
or
I don't know exactly.
Wasn't that
what's
already
going
like
to
teased and
happen.
hinted that it's going to be rebranded as Marvel vs. Capcom 4?
Yeah, that was the first teaser, but I'm not entirely sure what they're going to go with. But what I do know is that there's so much on the cutting room floor from that game, and the company just shut it down because they sunk so much into the esports avenue, which Capcom does, and got nothing from it because the game was a byproduct of them wanting to thrive off the Marvel vs. Capcom love in esports. And then obviously when the game no longer had esports support, people who were only into the game because they wanted to get sponsored,
which was so much more than you thought.
Yeah, which was more than you thought. Because at the end of the day, it almost seems like that a game's survivability on the big stages now is a lot less about the community love for it and more so about what the monetary gain from it is. And you still see answers that aren't like that, like when Eunice got main stage because Eunice had just done so well at building up their community. That was a genuine labor of love from the ground up. But otherwise, generally speaking, it's like, new game drop. That's going to be your big game at Evo, and then sponsors going to be shooting for sponsored players for those big games. I remember when Sam Show dropped. Part of the reason I got so mad is because people jumped in because they were like, "Oh, you can kill in 2 hits. I can go esports at this," and I'm like, "That's not what Sam Show's about. You're not gonna get that great at Sam Show with that mindset." And as soon as people realize that, they drop the game because there's my shot at getting an easy sponsor.
Man, I hate to throw this out there again because I had just said something about this last night, but I'm almost done reading Daigo's book, Will to Keep Winning, and a lot of stuff like in his philosophy and stuff like that, he basically makes talks about topics like that, and it's absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it, you should definitely do so.
I should read that. Will to Keep Winning.
Download the Kindle app and you pay $14.
I'll pay it. I'll buy it.
Shout outs to
I'd love to read that.
Shout outs to Guy in Green for sending that to me. I have it. I need to read that.
Yeah,
shit.
Rob. I saw Rob was starting to read it, and I was like, "Yo, where did you actually get a physical copy?" Because the few places I have saw a physical copy, it was like $50, and I was like, "Man, I really want it, but I don't feel like spending $50." And Rob was like, "Say no more, fam. Download Kindle app. Here's the link, $14.99. Go drop that real quick." I was like, "All right, cool." done.
Yeah, I will definitely hit that up.
Godlike.
Because it really is a shame, and that's part of why I know it is kind of deviating from the original structure of what we brought you on. But like part of the reason why we made this podcast in the first place is because it really was, and it's like a growth for me, because I remember when I came in, I was like, esports isn't really a problem, but I came from communities that were so big that even if they went esports, you still always had the community players. StarCraft 2 was the only StarCraft. So everyone who wanted to go pro went pro, but all the people like me who were just playing for the love of StarCraft and like had no intentions of going pro still had something to play on. League, while they balance heavily around the esports scene, still has a thriving community of players. And I will always be able to find people to play that game. It will not die like that.
I don't know if thriving is the word you want to use to describe that community.
They're thriving. They're just toxic.
I'm about to say it's another word. Starts with a T as well, but I don't know about thriving.
Can I get assholes for 500?
StarCraft
please?
is toxic as well.
No.
No.
StarCraft isn't toxic.
I wouldn't really
They're
say
just
so.
kind of elitist.
Okay.
And in certain circles.
What's also a very heavy, like, you know how Tekken is considered a Korean-dominated game? Like, StarCraft, I wouldn't even say is Korean-dominated. It is just a Korean game. Go tell me the last time you've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, when you go to BlizzCon and you hit the StarCraft section every year, they have banners hanging around the arena of the player who wins BlizzCon every year. So, you know, there's, like, 12, 13 banners hanging.
And, like, 75%.
And you just walk past the banner. Absolutely.
Nesty, Flash. Like, Flash wasn't Korean, was he? Yes, he was. Yeah, he was. Like, there's just it's Koreans own strategy games in general. Like, it's, and I feel like it has a lot to do with the discipline and the training regimens that go into the mindset of it.
I mean, a lot of that's just like what carries over to fighting games and why, like, Japan is
they
so
take
far
that
ahead.
so serious. For America, it's like, oh, I want to compete to be the best, but like this is just something I do on fun on the side. Korea is like, no, you are making a commitment.
You are in this house. You're going to be playing 8 till 10 p.m.
Some of the I've gotten to speak to some of the trainers for like Korean league teams, and they are harsh. Like, and the players will take this. They want the teachers to be harsh. It's like, oh man, you missed that dive. You were an accident. Like, joke aside.
You know how in NA they say that a professional gamer puts forth the same amount of effort that an NFL quarterback does? It's over there, they're doing the same thing, except one thing you don't have in NA that Korea does is you actually have a coach or a trainer who is also, you know, being your Sean Payton, and, like, making sure you succeed. Yeah, like
multiple team.
You're being pushed by more people than just yourself.
Like, it's crazy, and it's because of how serious they take that. Like a Royal Club. Oh man, they did a walkthrough of Royal Club, and like it is a literal gym complex with like 6 or 7 team rooms for scrims, multiple gyms. Everyone sleeps in house. We're talking 14 trainers, 12 analysts. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how serious they take this, but it shows in the results they put forward in the scene. You know? In any scene they put their hands in.
Yeah. At that point, they're even, like, they have you on set, like, scrim schedules, set workout schedules with set workouts. They even have you on a set diet. Like, you can only eat certain things that are going to make you perform better.
It's insane. But just America, I don't think we'll ever get that, because we just, for one thing, the generation we come from just doesn't take that stuff very serious, and they're the ones who have the money to be making those decisions. Like, I was gonna say thank Echo Fox, but that's in the tubes, because Echo Fox kind of went down. But you have people like,
I mean, that's a lot of organizations that fall for that same reason, and we've seen plenty of them fall just in the last 4 years.
And then.
But
the spot's taken up by smaller orgs, but you know that they don't have the resources that the previous Titans did, and so they're just going to fall through.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It allowed big names that knew nothing about what they were coming into, being able to be a big force in it just because of their bank accounts or their pockets. Yeah.
They can just throw money at it, yeah. There's deep pockets, throw money at it, put your name on it, bam. It's like, yeah, now when this gets big, my name will be on it. And it's not that simple.
But the other part about NA that I feel like that leaves it behind is because, so like how you were saying, it goes back to the whole like part of the reason I don't like esports. Something I've always asked, and like I've definitely wondered this more and more over the last 2 years specifically, is if it wasn't if it was still homegrown grassroots and it wasn't esports, would we see half these people involved that we see today?
Probably.
Hell nah.
I really wonder how many people are there only for that aspect of it, like, and that wouldn't be there if it was still like the old days. But that also comes into it's like if my thought on that is correct, and a lot of people are involved and in there only now because of the whole esports thing, then they're still not playing for the right reasons, which is another thing that separates North America from Asia. You know, they're not playing because, well, I'm not going to speak on all their behalf, but there's a lot of them that aren't playing for the fame and the money. They're playing because they love it, and it's like it's part of their identity. And I don't feel like that transitions that much over here.
You're not playing to grow your name. You're playing to grow yourself, and that's something that I love so much about Louisiana, and like just hoggling back on my cane back into the old days, like talking like an old timer here, but like whenever I first came to the Louisiana scene, and even Toy can attest to it, I was thrown into the lion's den of people who were like 10 times better than me, and you plug up your arcade stick next to X player, X GOL player, or whoever, and you get your ass beat. All right, get back in line, bitch. like that's what you had to go through, like and eat. And back in the day, that was like, okay, I really like playing this game, and I kind of want to get better at it. And now this dude's talking shit at me. I want to beat his ass. Not, oh, I just want to win a tournament and get a jersey or whatever. Like back whenever I played Street Fighter, I wanted to just get better at the game so I can beat the dude next to me. I wanted to get better at myself. I wanted to learn everything I could about the game. I was a completely new fighting game player, and I just wanted to constantly see myself grow in that avenue. Like I've harbored the story so much, and I'm gonna tell it to you guys. Toy, you know Isaiah, right?
Yeah.
GOL Zenzo, back in the Street Fighter 4
GOL.
days, GOL. Back in the Street Fighter 4 days, whenever we were playing at an anime card shop, whenever Street Fighter 4 just came out, I had finally picked a character that I wanted to main. I picked Cody, and Zenzo was playing Chun-Li at the time, and Anime and Games was our main hub for just getting together, having a setup, and playing Street Fighter 4. And I finally got to play against Isaiah once after like, oh no, I ain't playing this dude, he's trash, whatever. Like, oh, who's this dude, whatever. And I'm like, well, let me give it a shot. Let me give it a shot. So I plug up my Xbox pad because I didn't have an arcade stick at the time, and I play against Isaiah's Chun-Li. I think it was like the first or second game or something. This dude hit me with 3 fierce punches in a row. The Chun-Li, like where she like reaches her arm across the screen and hits you across the face with the fierce punch. He hit me with that button 3 times in a row, and I didn't block. As soon as the third punch hit, he paused the game, unplugged his controller, got up and said, I don't want to play this dude anymore, he sucks.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn.
Isaiah used to be savage. What happened?
No, Isaiah was a big savage. He became a family man. That's what happened.
Something you said a minute ago reminded me of a story, too. And it kind of transitions into what you were saying, definitely, because it was at the time when you just became GOL. So
but yeah, just to finish up that statement, that was like one of the first moments that really like lit a fire in me, like wanting to compete and wanting to just be a competitor in the game. This is like before esports was even a dictionary term, before it was even a thing. This was just whenever Street Fighter 4 brought back fighting games into the just to gaming culture, and I just wanted to get good at this new genre that I found out about, because I used to be a Smash player. I used to just dabble with it here and there, but as soon as that dude called me trash, and I was like, I want to beat this dude now. I didn't like that.
Man,
that's the kind of passion that I think is lacking with a lot of people who get into this just to get a jersey and just go esports.
100%, man, and it's different time periods though, you know. So like I 100% agree that there needs to be passion in this crap. Like in order for you to succeed, you need to be passionate in this in order to succeed. But we're also getting older. So as we're getting older, we have a lot more responsibilities, and you know there are a lot of people that are just trying to get a jersey, and a lot of people just have jerseys now. You know what I'm saying? That there are people that are making up their own orgs and just putting on jerseys and whatnot. But
Shout out to G Sports.
Damn. But anyway.
Nah, man. Look, Godric knows what it is.
But he be sending them to places and whatnot. He's a sponsor.
Yeah.
He's a sponsor.
I'm not saying it's lazy. I'm saying they're not shooting for corporate.
Word. I got you. But yeah, the point I was trying to make is that like as we grow older, we have more responsibilities. So people are, I would say in my situation, I'm not just looking for that jersey, but as I'm getting older, I have a lot of bills. You know what I'm saying? Like I have expenses piling on that like just esports alone, like that's what people I think are looking for in order for you to just go strictly with gaming to support your life. You know what I'm saying? Like you need esports. You know what I'm saying? Like people see that as the only way to strive in the FGC by just playing video games. But like a lot of people don't really know how much you make in esports. Like a lot of people don't know how many of these players make. A lot of people think these players are making 30K, you know what I'm saying? Like 30K a year.
A lot of people are going to sponsors and being like, hey, I want a 20K salary or whatever, and they're just like, nah, that's not what we're about.
The sponsors will laugh at you. Like straight up. Yeah. They'll straight up laugh at you, bro.
But not only that, people tend not to realize that it's only the 0.001% that actually make it to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And still today, you know what I'm saying? And it's more so the Japanese players or the international players that are like that. I believe that we have maybe 5 American players that are really monetizing, from the FGC. I should say maybe 7 to be on the safe side, but it's not many, man. It's not many. So I don't know.
Dylan, what was that story that you were going to transition to from Isaiah beating my ass and lighting the fire?
So, this goes back to Red September. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. So rest in peace to the homie B. But you, LJ, and it was you, LJ, and him were the only GOL there, and it was towards the end of the tournament. And you remember B had bodied that dude from Mississippi, and then he said he wanted to do a team match. So it was 3 Mississippi guys, and it was going to be you, LJ, and B playing them. And I remember he goes, I ain't even about to play. And I was like, what you mean not about to play? He said, nah, fuck that. Axel's new. This is his job. He's got to earn his rights right now. He got to go out there and handle that whole team by himself.
Oh my God.
He's better prove what he's about and what he wants to do.
Did you do it?
I don't even think it happened.
It ended up not even happening. B bodied that dude so bad, bro. They ain't even want to play no more.
Hey man, I carried GOL at Absolute Battle. I carried the fuck out
Which
of GOL
one?
at Absolute Battle. The one, me, Brian,
8 or 7.
Had
to be 7 because you didn't come to my house for 8.
Yeah, the one before the last one.
7.
Yeah, like there was a Street Fighter 5 team battle, and it was like Pokemon style, where you send one person up and they fight one game. It's like a best of 1, and I got to like the 3rd game each time, like being the first in line, and then fucking Zaith and B like got bodied by each person
because they were rusty. They didn't warm up.
Yeah,
that's
man.
What they get.
Man.
All right. So to end this, because I know we're wrapping up to the end of our time, I want to go to Toy. Toy, I know you said you've been in the FGC about 10 years, which means that you would have started around 2010 during Resurgence era Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah.
Coming out of the so-called Dark Ages. So you've gotten a decade now of just front row seat to the shifts of the community. And if there was any one thing that stood out to you as a large change, whether it be what esports brought on or maybe just time, and something you wish could go back, something that you think if it had turned back or gone a little bit differently, the FGC would have blossomed more than it is now, what would that be?
Oh man, I don't think I can answer that question because I don't know. I know what I miss, but I don't know.
Well, what do you miss?
I miss, I just brought up the whole point of esports is necessary for the career and whatnot to just thrive on it
Right.
and whatnot. But I really do miss the grassroots aspect, and when we used to a money match, I miss that. There was always a money match, and we used to be able to go in hotels. Like if you were looking for a money match or just casuals in general, you used to be able to walk through the hotels or just the lobbies or the floors rather, and hear sticks clacking, and you just knock on the door, and then be like, hey, you want a money match, or hey, you want to play and whatnot.
Who trying to lose $10?
Right, exactly, straight up, and that's
The salty sweets, man.
those were godlike, man. But like it's completely changed nowadays, man. It's very secluded. I know that over the years we've always had noise complaints and whatnot, but that's just that's with anything. I'm pretty sure other events have to deal with that crap. But
Would you say it's become more cliquish?
100%, man. It's
Oh,
completely
yeah.
cliquish.
It's not again, like, it's not states anymore or coasts. It's teams.
Yeah.
It's teams and whatever little like community that you have, because y'all don't want to like band together.
100%. And then during my first 4 or 5 years in FGC, if I were trying to get into a salty suite that I would get into today, I would never be able to be in get into those rooms. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Because you were nobody.
Because I was nobody. Exactly. Like,
Man, Toy, I literally got into a salty suite and like money matched Ice Effect and Punk like at the very first final round because one of the guys in the fucking salty suite room thought LJ was Coach Steve.
Oh my god.
and they let him man the door.
Y'all just didn't correct them?
Nope. Hey man, we weren't taking our free pass into the big league salty suite. Get in any way you can.
Then
But-
Coach Steve shows up.
he didn't show up.
that's
You remember when people used to go to tournaments and actually money match to like eat for the weekend?
I know,
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
bruh.
Poke Chop still does that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but he's got money now though. It's not the same. It's not the same as somebody legit being like so many people were legit broke and like
They spent
scraped
everything to get there.
yeah, spent everything they had just to get there, and was
Carpool,
like, I'm gonna
slept
use
on
my
the floor,
slept on
man.
floors, and was like, I'm just gonna use my skill to make sure I can eat this week. It's not the same now. People money match, but a lot of those money matches, it's more about the hype. It's not about the I'm about to body you in this money match because I'm
that.
hungry.
It's about it just existing, because money matches have become such a niche thing this day and age. It's more about pride and exhibitions and just showing off. If somebody talks shit to you or whatever, you put $20 in front of the monitor or you shut up. Like that's how it was back in the day. But
It's less about proving something now, more like, oh, money match is a hype word. That means hype. I'm gonna have a money match because it's gonna be exciting, and it's like
it's
not-
what brought on the money match.
Yeah.
That's what the hype was.
like
but
the drama.
But Toy, what were you saying, Toy?
Oh, I don't even remember. I thought I was done.
Correct.
I think I
Yeah,
was.
no, I thought he was done too. Like, Alex,
Ne-
where are
ne-
you
ne-
going back?
Never mind.
His age is
but,
showing.
What?
Yeah, that's an old man reactions,
Come
man.
on, man. Y'all chill out on that.
That's why you playing Bison, dudes. You don't need young man reactions. You got the inevitable slide,
Man,
sometimes heavy punch.
stop downplaying that god.
Bro, I got EX Devil's reverse, bro. What you talking about? That's all I need, man. But yeah, what Dylan said, don't be downplaying.
You right. Look, there's some real skill behind it.
Yeah, there
Two
is
iPods
actually.
in his mouth.
Saying,
You never
especially while
said-
using them
Oh.
online. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look,
What
if you ever
Bisons you
play
seen
me-
doing work season 1?
What's up?
What
Wait,
Bisons
wasn't he
you
playing
seen
Chun
doing-
season 1?
No, he should have.
Wait, say that again. I can't hear you. Y'all both were saying. Say that again.
He said, "What Bison's doing work season 1?"
And
And then I said, "Weren't you playing Chun season 1?"
No, I wasn't. And Bison wasn't good season 1. So
That's
nobody
what I'm
was
saying.
in.
That's why I say don't downplay him. There was no Bisons that were like really doing things. I mean, honestly, even in season 1, you were one of the stronger Bisons. But no, he
Yeah.
didn't. He didn't play Chun because he a hoe.
Nah, bro. No.
He came into this game
No,
and was
no,
like,
no.
"Yo, the character I've been playing for years is the only S++ character in this game. All right, let me not play that character."
Hold up, bro. Y'all wildin'. Hold on. Let me defend.
No, dude, I remember that.
Let me defend my honor. All right. So
I-
Street Fighter 4. All right. We just had a whole. We've been talking about an hour and whatnot. That was the game I started with. How long was Street Fighter
That's when
4
you're
out?
still boy toy, right?
That's when I was just a boy toy. Yeah, you're right. So that game lasted for what, 8 years, right? So I played Chun-Li for 8 years. So that's like a commitment. People like marriages don't even last that long these days. Like 8 years, I played the same chick.
You do realize marriage means forever, right?
Yeah. But like Chun-Li, like in the transition from 4 to 5, she lost everything that made me fall in love with her, bro. The stand strong, the super, it's not there anymore. It's not even the same stand strong. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't even use her in Street Fighter X Tekken, remember? I said specifically the same thing that I'm saying now. No Chun-Li, because she ain't the 4 Chun-Li, even though she was godlike in Street Fighter X Tekken. But that's what I'm gonna leave it at right there. I'm just a loyal black man. That's what it is.
Drink some water.
Will do. Will do.
All right, Dylan, same to you, but a different avenue. To end it off, if there was one thing, and it doesn't have to be like anything grandiose. I guess the wording I had last time was kind of weird, but if there was something you would like to see change, right? Something that you think could be done different that could help the FGC flourish, either from a grassroots aspect, an esports aspect, or just as a community-driven scene in general, what would it be?
Definitely something. One of the main things is an org point of view. If you know, I don't know if you've noticed how many orgs have pulled out of the FGC in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's like they give up on it instead of trying to stand there and fight and help it grow and survive. And I'd like to see more organizations truly support the scene and the players in it, and not just look at it as another game with another name to grab to represent your name here, there, and there.
Like a get-rich-quick scheme, you know?
Yeah. Like, actually dedicate yourself, get into the scene, find the players that you see the potential in, and help support them and support the scene. Don't just treat it like, oh, this looks like this and this, I'm just gonna dip. Like, I feel like if orgs really started backing the scene more and like tried to help grow and support it, it would definitely be better off. But also, just mindsets, and people still like show that they love for the game and stop. Like, I understand, because this is something you see in Call of Duty as well. Call of Duty is literally a game that every single year, you as a professional player, you have to relearn a whole entire new game every year. And it's like there's never it's not like something you can gradually adjust to, because like just in the past 6 years, we went from an old school like World War II game,
boots on the ground,
to wonky jetpacks, to mid jetpacks, still boots on the ground, to full blown space station shit, back to 1932 World War II, to 2020. Like it's all over the place. And that right there, sometimes you see players talk about how they hate the game, but that's something that so many people that play Street Fighter every day claim to love it, and some of them even make a living off of it. When you downplay the game so much, you discourage other people from wanting to play the game or get involved in a game.
Oh, preach.
And I feel like that really does hurt the community. And if that stopped, I feel like the community would be better off. I'm not just talking about Street Fighter. This even goes along the lines of like Mortal Kombat and stuff too. When a big figure is talking about how bad the game is and how much they hate it, a lot of people, definitely on social media, they see that, and without even having like their own opinion, they're like, oh, he said it sucks, so it sucks, I'm not getting down with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's definitely played part in stunting the growth.
When you're that big and you have that big of a platform, understand your power and be a good representation for the community you want to see grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, this has been fantastic. I'm so glad you both came on. I had a fantastic time talking with you both.
Thanks for having me, brother.
It's been really interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting seeing the local side, the esports side, and like mixing it in between to get the FGC that we have right now.
Yeah. It's been really, really eye-opening too. A lot of things I didn't know. So.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Once again, I'm Struggle Vision Pineapples.
And I'm Crescent Novaspec.
Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you next month for the next episode.
Peace.